One thing that I want to immediately showcase down here, I want to play this video real quick here for us and showcase what that actually looks like. We were able to actually see this at the Toyota Museum in Japan and actually see some of the line manufacturing. The cars in a manufacturing plant, in a line manufacturing plant, they move forward into their station, their workstations on attack time. And then as you can see, the humans or robots start to do the welding or put the doors on or whatever the case may be. And then once they're done, as you can guess, on that tack time within that certain amount of time, then the cars will move forward on the line. But there are those in the industry that say that construction is nothing like manufacturing. Construction is exactly like manufacturing with one exception, that instead of the car moving down the line to stations, trades move through zones with tools. And that's exactly what I want to show. And that's exactly what I want to explain today when we're talking about tact, steering, and control. I want to showcase something that we've recently created. We have actually distilled down the key components of the first planner system for you, which is where you plan the project and use tact. Your standard process or planning steps that you can use as a superintendent, project manager, or scheduler, the tact planning system. And I just want to showcase real quick with this visual how simple it is. You simply have to understand what your project is, establish milestones, identify your phases, identify your zones, identify a tact time for a phase, package your trains and your trade flow, make sure that you're obeying the production laws, add buffers, connect your phases together, put in any one-off activities, make sure your path of critical flow, your critical chain is correct, and then feed that into the last planner system. It's very simple, it's very standardized, it's all in the book. And we also have that for tact, steering, and control, and the last planner system. We have some pictures ready for you, and I want to take you through a couple of them, and I want to make sure that we're sharing. I'm not teaching you, I learned this from Lean experts, but I want to share with you a couple of things that will hopefully help you connect with the original experience. Let me explain just a couple of these, and I'll do it one by one. And the first principle I want to cover is Jidoka. And Nicholas Modig covers this in his book, This is Lean, but I want to actually show it to you. First of all, that person in the background is a former vice president of Lexus and the CEO of Georgetown, Toyota Georgetown. And what he's doing, he's holding up a little metal piece. And this was, Kevin, what do you call it? This is a loom,
Correct.
basically. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
this
loom.
was the first real automated loom. Yeah.
The first automated loom before actually Toyota. And by the way, if somebody's like, I just came for a tack training, why are we talking about lean? The tack production system is the lean scheduling system. So you can't talk about one without the other. So what Sakichi Toyoda invented was a little metal device that was attached to each of the strands. And if one of the strands broke, it would drop and stop the machine. And so he's about to show us this. Okay. So he's showing that that will fall and it will basically trigger the entire line to stop. So when people say that in line manufacturing they stop the line, it's not a subtle thing. It's a real thing. He says 3, 2, 1, and he drops it. And it shuts the entire thing off. Jidoka means automation with a human touch. Jidoka means automation with a human touch. And what it means is that we are making sure that in our automated processes, we are able to stop and get quality right from the start. And that human touch piece means that also humans are involved in it and they can also stop the line in addition to things like this metal mechanism, which he's showing us right now. What this means for us in construction is that we must stop pushing. If there's a defect, and I didn't actually know, when they used to say, hey, they stopped the first loom, I was like, what is one strand going to do? What is one strand going to do to fabric? Like, that's really silly. Aren't we pole vaulting over mouse turds with this? And when he brought that garment, that, I don't know what you call it, but that piece of fabric, which Kevin and I were able to buy some, he showed us what it looks like to have a defect. Let me go ahead and stop. That's nasty. Whenever people told the stories about Toyota in Japan, I was like, one strand? That's not even going to show up. It looks nasty. It ruins the whole thing. So in construction, when we use our tack plans, they are specifically designed to stop the line. When we have a problem, we do not push through it. We do not add labor. We do not work weekends. We do not do all those crazy things. We stop the line. And you remember, instead of the cars flowing through the manufacturing plant, like in this one where they move from station to station, it's the trades. So imagine instead of that car, a trade is going forward. If they hit a defect, we need to stop the line. You can do this. I am a 20, 30 years experience in the construction industry, most of the time as a superintendent running jobs. I'm telling you, it will be more productive if we stop the train of trades than if we just keep creating defective work that we have to rework. It would be better, and I'm going to make a bold statement, that every worker on every crew in a train sat on their butts for a day rather than push through defective work. It would be cheaper for the trade, cheaper for the job, because motion and busyness is actually waste. And so everything that we talk about in these systems is based around stability, 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 stability. Let me say that just a couple more times. Stability. This is all the pictures from Japan. This was just us going to a different facility along the tour. This is how they take care of the public. Everything has visual signs. Everything is clean. Everything is like, even the cables. Look at how the cables are beautifully wrapped around everything. Like when people say that things are amazing in Japan, it's not a fake. The whole country, 130 million people act the same way. Look at this guard station. Look at these accordion gates. They have two people making sure we protect the public. It's all clean. Look at inside here. Everything, there are panels that they put on the dirt so they're not tracking out dirt.
I thought it was road mats, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, everything on the job site's not dirt. They put down road mats so they can do a good job. And like all the gates are detailed. Look at how they wrap the cords. All the signs are pristine. It's 100% ready to go. They tell everybody where they're going, so there's no wayfinding problems. It's just phenomenal. The tack production system is, I'm going to call it a fragile system. It's easy to just go push and to throw trade partners on the project site like you're boarding a Southwest Airlines flight. It's hard to actually make a plan. Let me show you a different construction project. This is a high rise. They were all the way up and almost done with the exterior, and they're finishing out the interiors. Look at that exterior protection. Look at the way that everything's detailed out. Look at that gate. It's custom, 100%, all detailed out. Everything's flagged off. And then we have somebody out there guarding the gate, full signage. I think it tracks vibration and how loud things are for the highs and lows. Everything is communicated well. Everything is safed off. This right here is the exterior. These panels are basically the outside of their scaffolding. And it doesn't even look like it's a construction site. It's all just absolutely beautiful. You look inside, they're finishing the interiors, just absolutely amazing. So one of the lessons that we learned from Japan is stability. This is where they're about to do some work. So my reflection with this is that construction not only needs a place to, or a way to stop, call, wait, which Takt does, but we also need beautifully orchestrated environments. And it's absolutely remarkable. And I want to show you one other thing. And I have this ready for you. And this is actually a video. I'll take you through this, but as we toured through the construction projects, this is what we saw. So this was Paul Akers did this video for us, but this is representative of the actual construction project. So going through this construction site, and we saw that it works on high rises, it works on bridges. They are so meticulous, so thoughtful, so thorough, so clean. As we're going through, and I wasn't on this job site, but other job sites, as we're going through, everything's just done to the nth degree. All of the walkways are beautifully clear. Everything, like we still have those mats down ready to go. They're inspecting things every day. One of the most validating things for me was that they do morning worker huddles with everybody. Now, one of the things, let's stop. Some of you are saying they're not wearing their safety glasses. This was something that was new to me. On Japanese construction sites, they're not as strict as like I am per se with safety glasses, and I'll tell you why. And it was really abnormal for me, and I still haven't wrapped my mind around it. But they remove the root cause of the need for safety glasses. All of their power tools are protected to where nothing even comes out and is at risk of getting in your eye. I'm still getting used to it, but in case you were wondering about that, let me just talk about that. So every morning with their workers, just like we talk about at Elevate Construction, they do their morning huddle with their morning huddle worker boards. And they also have individual crew work packages and visual quality boards like we always talk about at Elevate. Every crew has one of those. Then the crews split off and go talk about their work for the day. And it's absolutely phenomenal. All of these topics, whether it's quality, safety, production, the weather for the day, everything's talked about all throughout the day with all of the workers. And here's one of my favorite parts. This is their meeting system. Let me take you the volume up.
And this is the 1 day safety cycle. This is the cycle of the day. So usually we start the stretch at 7:50, and we do have the little meeting at 8 here. And if there are some newcomers for the day, then we train them for 15 minutes. And then the top managers like him have in the morning one time he goes patrol that make sure everything is working well. And at 12:45 they have all the supervisors get together and have a meeting for the next day's schedule, what they're going to work. And then in the afternoon again he goes for the patrol, everything is going on well. And at 4:45 they start cleaning and then finish by 5.
Okay, this was probably one of the most validating things for me because what Kevin and I get teased about most in our systems is people arguing about the meeting system. If you noticed, and this construction is based off of the Toyota production system, one of the most effective systems in the world. If you notice, they have their afternoon foreman huddle at 12:45. That's where and I just typed that in there. Hopefully you can see it a little bit. That's where they plan for the next day. Then all of the information is confirmed in the morning worker huddle in the morning. And then if they have orientations, which happens on most projects, they do that at 8. And then 8:15 is what we call zone control in the Takt production system. And so I want to make that point. They plan the next day, then they communicate that plan to the workers, orient any new workers. They go out on patrol and do their work. Everybody does their work, and then they plan the next day. That is the cycle. And what we hear, and we don't need to hear it, whether you're from Mexico or the United States or Canada or Europe, we taught the Japanese these things. And this is the system. And what superintendents in the United States will say is, oh, I can't get my trades to come to a foreman huddle. And I don't want to do it in the afternoon. I'm tired. And I'm not going to gather all the workers. They wouldn't do that. This is how it is done. This is how we do it. This is the most important thing that we can learn from the Toyota production system is that Takt, last planner, scheduling systems do not only rely on the actual plan. They rely on being able to stop the line, creating stability in the field, and being able to follow standard meeting structures so that we can work just in time. So I want you all to remember those 3 concepts. Jidoka, which is being able to stop the line, automation with a human touch, just in time, do things just in time on a daily basis, when it's needed on attack time, and then stability. All of these systems focus on stability. Okay. All right, team, I want to talk about the meeting system because this is something that somebody made a comment the other day on LinkedIn that people who teach Takt do it differently. And most of the time, that's just because people want significance and they're trying to be famous instead of trying to help the industry. And so I want to clear some things up. When we talk about Takt steering and control, we're talking about steering a train of trades through the project, and we're talking about controlling the environment with the foreman. Let's say you have a piece of work, right? And let's just say this is like the level 2 of a medical office building, 40,000 square feet, or let's say it's 30 to 40,000 square feet. Let's just make it 40,000 square feet. Okay, not a big deal. All construction is if we have one trade, we as the general contractor help prepare them and support them so they can come in here and work from zone to zone to zone to zone in a flow throughout the building. And Takt planning can work with whether you have one activity or you have a train of trades. So if you have multiple trades that are working through the building, right? All construction is we have zones and we have a clean environment, and we're like, hey, trade partner, are you ready to go? Okay, go ahead and enter the system. Hey, trade partner, are you ready to go? Enter the system. Hey, trade partner, are you ready to go? Enter the system. So that whole train of trades can flow from zone to zone to zone throughout equally. That's all it is. So right now we're in the middle of writing a book about the last planner system so we can clear up some misconceptions about the last planner system. But really construction works like this. The production plan that we get from the pull plan, pull plans create your production plan where we have buffers so we can stop the line. Remember that loom. Then we look ahead 6 weeks to make sure that we are removing roadblocks out ahead. Then we create a weekly work plan with the trades that's filtered from that flow where we make commitments. And then every worker should see a day plan every day. And then we track percent plan complete. So that same meeting system I showed you works everywhere. Now, the first thing that we need on a project is a master plan. This image is absolutely beautiful. This is called a macro level tact plan. This shows, remember I said that all construction is preparing a train of trades to move through zones? All that is, all a tact plan is showing that. All we're seeing is that we have one zone for the site where we have 4 or 5 trades moving through the site work. We have 2 zones for foundations, and we have 4 trades moving through that area. For structure, we have, I don't know, count very fast. We have 10 zones and we have 4 trades that are moving through that. For interiors, let's just say that we have like 17, 18 zones and we have 15 trades that are moving through there. And this overall master plan shows us strategically how it's all going to work together. That's where the tech production system starts. How does that tie to Toyota? Toyota does, in fact, do a market analysis for how many cars are going to be purchased in a year, and they align their manufacturing plants to produce what's needed from a strategic plan. They do the same exact thing. The other thing in construction is once we actually have that overall strategic plan, we have a slowest strategic baseline. I didn't say baseline, I said strategic baseline. And then by zoning it properly or coming up with the right batch sizes in the tech production system, we're able to go faster and gain buffers. What are buffers for? Remember that loom where he dropped that little metal piece and it stops the production line? We have got to be able to stop the production line. That means the train of trades, 1 or 2 or many, and there are ways to keep them busy so they don't waste time, but busyness is not the goal, to where they're able to absorb impact. So everybody, let's connect with this. You're on your jobs, you're a PM, you're a super, you hit a delay. You're on a critical path. You don't have any buffers in your schedule. Now you know you have to work overtime. You're not going to see your son's baseball game. You're going to be home late for your wife. She's already mad at you. Construction just tears you down. You're going to lose your reputation. You're stressed. It's all on your shoulders. Who wants to live like that? No one. Even if it makes you feel important, no one wants to live like that. Wouldn't it be much better if we actually had buffers in the system and we were able to stop the line? And so what happens here is when we're preparing trades to enter this production system and you're actually looking at your macro level view, you have to look at every phase like it's simply zones that a train of trades is going to go into. And you have to, remember that sketch I made you? Prepare them. Let's take rough end for the interiors. You have to prepare them with a pull plan and a pre-con meeting. That means 3 months before a phase happens, you pull plan it so that the trades are all coordinated and in line in their train. And then 3 weeks before each wagon or each task starts, we gather around the room and we do a pre-con meeting. I used to think that pre-construction meetings were boring, horrible, garbage administrative things. I have since repented and changed my ways. I would never run a job, my construction company or a job I was running, ever, without putting every trade partner through a wonderful pre-construction meeting to prepare them to enter the system, into the tech production system, ever. One of the things that Mr. Amazawa, who was the former VP of Lexus and CEO of Toyota Georgetown, said was when he was a general manager, he spent more time with the vendors than he did with Toyota. On construction projects, we have to begin preparing these trades well and spend more time with them so they can come succeed. And we've got to get away from this push culture where we're just rushing and pushing and panicking. And so I just want to bring this image. Every phase is simply zones and trades, the train of trades moving through time and space like you saw in the video. And if you have a sequence, the line of balance, which means your speed, and a milestone, you can always accelerate it by rezoning in your pull plan and gain time and gain buffers like I'm showing over here to the right. In this framework, you have a sequence, a line of balance, a milestone, and buffers. And you can gain as many buffers as you need most of the time simply by optimizing the zone sizes. That's the Takt production system. And if, like I showed you in the pictures, you have a stable environment, you're able to stop the line and eat into these buffers, and you prepare the trades with a pull plan and a pre-con, and you've got the materials ready for them, you're all set and ready to go. And we should be able to run wonderful construction projects and finish in less time with half injuries like the stats show in Japan. That allows us to pull in the last planner system, which we're about to go into, where you're able to look out 6 weeks and confirm the weekly work plan out ahead. This is a specific super book if you're doing small commercial projects or custom homes or residential builds. So this is a really neat new book that's just out on the market by Trenton Miller. We don't have anything to do with it. I'm just showcasing his work. And then obviously this book for assistant supers, PMs, assistant PMs in residential or commercial construction. So that will help you from that standpoint. Joe actually helped us recently. We have a book coming out at the end of this week called Elevating Construction General Superintendents. It's a really neat book. Probably 70 different professionals helped us to write it, and there were like 10 or 12 main ones that were always commenting. And he is a general superintendent over multiple projects, but he builds Circle Ks and used to have his own shop and does projects like residential remodels, things like that. He took some time to convince about tact planning, but he put it in a time by location format. And even if it's a small project, started to put it in the format. And he was like, Jason, I'm so surprised. Instead of seeing a bunch of activities with text in black and white, I'm able to see the gaps between when a trade partner is here. I'm able to see if I'm stacked where they're in the same place. I'm able to see how they interface and where they're dependent in the same zone. He's like, I can see this whole thing and find multiple different ways to optimize it. And so all a residential project or a remodel is a smaller version of Takt, but the same system applies. When you're using the Takt production system, it fits with anything. Let me give you 4 different scenarios. If you have multiple trades going through an area and multiple zones, it will look like your normal Takt plan, okay? If you have one trade with multiple zones, it will simply look like a Gantt chart, okay? If you have multiple trades and one zone, it will simply look like a horizontal sequence. And if you have one trade and one zone, it will simply look like a single activity. So the framework is dynamic, meaning that if you don't have multiple zones in a remodel, the system still works. You still have colored identifiers. You still see it in a time by location format. You still have the recovery options. You can still optimize it. It's still on one page. It's still simpler for the trades. It's still easier to do your pull plan. It's still easier to do your look ahead and weekly work plan. It's still easier to do all of those things. When you break out a floor that might not be rhythmic and even or repetitive, you basically split up that floor into different column squares. And then what you do is a work density analysis. You find out what the density of the work is in each area, and you split up your zones not by area, but by work density. That way, when a trade partner comes in the first zone, second zone, third zone, they experience a similar amount of work. So you can tact anything. You can tact a hospital, a laboratory, an airport, a school, a high school, civil work, bridges, anything. And that is the system that they use in Japan, just so you know. They don't mess around with the CPM garbage. So we just wrote a book called the 10 Myths of CPM. It is the best book we've ever written, and you will learn more about lean in this book than anything else that you can read. It's a summary of literally Deming's system, the Toyota system, Goldrat's system, and any other lean systems that we could find throughout the planet. And it compares all of those to CPM. And here's why you shouldn't be mad at me. If you're like, Jason, I don't care how good looking you are, I'm still going to use CPM. Hey, that's fine. If you're a diehard CPMer, I would buy these books and I would give them to your schedulers and I would say, please don't ever do anything in this book. Please, anything Jason talks about that hurts people, don't do it while you're using CPM. That's one option. Let me give you another one that I just thought of. Somebody said, what do you think of this post? Ivan, who is very respected by me and is a great advocate, and I support him wholeheartedly, is starting to do tact planning inside of MS project. He found a way to do it in here. And somebody asked my opinion. How do you feel about it? I'm like, great. I love it. But that's not CPM. That's CPM 2.0. And I'll do another one that might help you out. And I don't know if Bill's on the phone, but Bill is a professional builder and scheduler that we work with all the time. He sent a text to me and he's like, Jason, in Asta, they're starting to, you see, this is a tact plan in here. And he was teasing me and he was like, I wanted to show you some progress, blah, 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 blah. And what did he say? He said, don't get mad at me with CPM. And then you see my thing. I love it. So good. You're the best. I appreciate, but that is not CPM. That is tact in a CPM software. So this revolution is changing the way people think. And that's all I want. If somebody, I added a new chapter to the book, The 10 Myths of CPM. If somebody wants to create CPM 2.0 or builder CPM or modified CPM or progressive CPM like they're doing here, I am 1,000,000% okay with it, even though nobody asked me, because my opinion doesn't really matter. But if we do traditional CPM, it is an abusive, toxic, horrific system. So I wanted to make that point really quickly. Just so everybody knows, we don't own InTakt, and I don't know that we get financial benefit from it. If the company ever sells, I think we would get financial benefit from it, but I don't think the plan is to sell it. We are investing with the amazing InTakt folks to help this software get better. And we listen to the people boots on the ground, and we're constantly making sure that it's true to proper production planning methods that are lean. And a couple things I just want to show you is that the new release is pretty remarkable. Where it used to have difficulty zooming in and out, I'm just using my control bar to zoom in and out. It has advanced zooming features and ease of use for the people that are using it nowadays. Most, if not all, I would probably say all of the bugs are fixed to help people view exactly what they're trying to view, including the legends over here to the left. You do not, then this is after your pull plan. Once you do your pull plan, you have what you see in front of me. And once you do this, you can immediately create a look ahead plan that's automatically formatted, ready to go for all of your trades right from the system, and then adjust it with the trades, okay? Because it's a collaborative system. And then you can automatically filter your weekly work plan and adjust it with the trades, because this is a collaborative system, and show all of your handoffs on a daily basis. Our clients that are working with this software, they literally are taking these weekly work plans right off of InTakt. So it goes pull plan, look ahead, weekly work plan, final coordination from the trades, then they use it. Then Kevin, tell them what happens in the field next.
They find their issues, or they walk their zones, find their issues, and then bring those to the daily Foreman huddle. And they solve those issues live, all together, all collaboratively. And this is just an example. I will give a shout out to Tanner up in Canada. This is his work right here, and you can see what is hitting and what is not. And in particular, we're getting a fairly low percentage on this. This is a troubled project that was behind schedule. Tanner was one of our highly trained individuals that went in to help this project. And the changes that are happening with the weekly work plan, the look ahead, all the short interval plans, I'll say, as well as the entire production plan, have been remarkable. So they are really doing a good job at getting this project on track. They were late. They had pushed substantial completion twice, and they were not able to push substantial completion anymore. And Tanner has actually brought this project in where we have, I think it's 15 buffer days now, due to his alignment on everything that he's using here. So,
and Kevin and I named it the Tanner principle, and we're actually being very serious about this. I hope it's always known as that. The Tanner principle is that for systems like this to work, you must have somebody, a champion on the project site, that knows and understands it, that can be a catalyst for the value that's added from training like this and from companies like ours at LeanTakt. And so we must have champions. That's called the Tanner principle. And I do want to note that when they're doing this audit, remember, they plan the next day. The afternoon foreman huddle plans the next day. Then in the morning, they orient their workers in the worker huddle. And then they go through and they do their audits. They do their audits with, not Japan, this is the United States tact production system, but that's the time to actually take this in hand and go do your audits and work shoulder to shoulder with the foreman when there are handoffs instead of pushing and yelling at people. Kevin?
Yeah, the shoulder to shoulder concept was one of the most interesting and impactful to me in Japan. We visited probably a dozen industry leading professionals there. Every single one of them said this concept of shoulder to shoulder. And I wish I could speak better Japanese, I would say it in Japanese. But when you have an issue, when you have anything going on, when you have training that's needed, when you have any situation, the idea is that the leadership goes to the gemba, to the place where the work is happening, and they work shoulder to shoulder to solve that issue. And like Jason said, Mr. Amazawa talked about how that's the gemba is not just the Toyota floor. The gemba is even the vendor's manufacturing floor. He would send people to his vendors to help them and to work shoulder to shoulder with them to improve their processes, to get them what they needed, and to give any resources that he had to them so they could succeed. Because when they succeeded, Toyota succeeded. It was a wild concept that was revolutionary to me. And now my favorite saying is shoulder to shoulder. I say it like 10 times a day. So,
And now Kevin and I are better dads for our separate family kids. Kevin and his wife have 4 kids, and Kate and I have 11. And like literally, we came back and we're like, kids, no more go figure it out. We're going to help you. Anything you need help with, we're going to help. That's what we learned. But let me tell you why I'm showing you Minecraft. I stayed away from video games like my whole life. I'm like, I was anti video game. Oh, don't waste your time. And then my kids got into video games and stuff, and my son wrote me a book in his kid handwriting talking about the things that he and I could do together in Minecraft. And I was like, oh God, this is a moment where instead of my kid asking me to go play football, he wants me to play Minecraft. So I got rid of my awesome traditional thinking with video games, and I just dove right in. And so I'm pretty good at Minecraft, but I play it with my kids because that's our time to bond. Some kids like to play basketball, some kids like to go to the park, some kids like to go to airsoft, some kids like to go to rock climbing with me, but some of my kids like to play Minecraft. So it's kind of a Jack Black type thing. So one of the things that I asked my son, he was like, I want some extra work. So he on my office computer inside here created a world for me that I could use to. He created a world where in Minecraft we have a complete high rise. You see that truck is delivering bookends. We got the bathrooms, we got the lunch area, the whole nine. What I'm going to attempt to do is take you through the meeting system with the boards on how our conference rooms and our meetings should look with InTakt as a backdrop so I can show you exactly where we're going with all of this. So Kevin and I practiced this before we start. We'll see how well it works. This is the ideal meeting system. By the way, this is the most impactful thing you'll probably ever learn about the Takt production system. If you have your macro level Takt plan, you've done your pull plan, your production plan, your look aheads, your weekly work plans, it's fine to see the deliverables, but where do these happen? Where do we use them? I'm going to say that right now. Typically in a meeting structure, and this is for $100 million, $150 million projects, so don't get freaked out. You can scale it down or up. It's not a big deal. And yes, it's hard, and only bad meetings suck. Good meetings are great. If you do these meetings right, all of this other time is free production time, and meetings are the price we pay for alignment. So your team weekly tactical is where you organize your team at the beginning of the week. And the purpose is the team reviews the current workload, coverage for the week, and everyone's individual outstanding or open items. And so typically what we have is we have boards that we want you to use, and you also have other deliverables or items that can be used for you to be successful, including an agenda. So I'm just going to highlight a couple of the agenda items. Shout outs, lightning round, PTO. Why should we talk about PTO? Because we have to have a project delivery team there supporting the Takt production system. And then we go through no meeting days, safety management, all the other things, but we have to do PTO, Saturday, and general coverage first. So let me see if I can pull this off. When you come to work, and I'm just going to say, when you come into the trailer, you have your conference room here, right? Got your nice little model inside the middle of the room. Your boards over here to the left, your 2 screens in the front, and then your whiteboards to the right. The first meeting happens with the project manager and the project superintendent and the team, and we're going to look left. And what I'm going to do is take you to the mural where I show the left wall, the front wall, and the right wall. These are the boards that you use in that team weekly tactical. This is where you plan for your site coverage. This is where you look at your PTO calendar. This is where you see your meeting cadence, your accountability chart, and any hot items for the project delivery team, any hot items. So this is how you create coverage. And this is the first meeting that you have as a part of the cycle with this agenda. Okay? And that happens in the first part of the week. And now your strategic planning and procurement meeting these are not suggestions. The most important thing in the Takt production system is the meeting system, by far. It's not a good idea. It's mandatory. You have to implement this if you want to implement the system. And you can either, if it's a smaller job, loop this into your team weekly tactical, or if it's a bigger job, it can be separate. The bottom line is we don't want to waste people's time. But the team weekly or the strategic planning and procurement meeting, is where long-term planning takes place. Your master schedule is updated and work is made ready per the look-ahead schedule. And procurement is intentionally managed. So let's say that morning you were like, hey, everybody, hugs and kisses. We did our team meeting. Okay, we'll go do the super does a field walk. He's like, okay, I need to make it back with my planning meeting. All right, everybody, I got the super PM and the PEs in here. And we're going to reference mostly the screens up front. We're going to mainly have up on the front of the conference room, we're going to have your macro level tact plan. This macro level tact plan is where you and the team are looking at your critical chain. I want everybody to please stop using the term critical path. Critical path doesn't exist. I can prove it to you if you read the book. But there is such a thing as a critical chain where phases tie to phases, or path of critical flow, which is our term, where phases tie to phases. You and your project team are looking at your path of critical flow or your critical chain, whatever you want to call it, not critical path though, and you're looking for strategic optimization and to track whether or not your project is on schedule and if procurement is on track. So you'll bring up your procurement log and make sure that all of your major long lead items are on track. And this is your time for the super and PM to make sure strategically we are solid on the project for the strategic plan and procurement. Kevin, anything you would add to this?
No, that's beautiful.
Okay. We're hoping you have your macro level tact plan and your procurement log and that you follow this agenda. Shout outs, lightning round, but review your tact plan. Make sure it's right. Review your procurement log and then report out and then do a plus delta. If you ever want to get a high level overview of a pull plan, we have extensive pull planning training here for you. And let me show you this video real quick. There is a right way to do pull planning, and if you've started doing it a different way, there's nothing wrong with that. The eventual right way is this, though. The first thing you do, you get into your pull plan, you establish your conditions of satisfaction. You go through the rules with the trade partners. You identify sticky colors. You identify your sticky format. And then you go through your zoning, and you work with your zoning, with your trade partners on your zoning. Pull up the calculator, Kevin's calculator, in order to identify what your zone sizes for your pull plan should be. You talk to your trade partners about how if you zone it differently in the Takt production system, you can gain or lose time depending on how many zones you have and how big they are. Then when you start, and actually I'll show you this, I was actually showing the trades, okay, trades, you went to 6 zones over 4, and this was your original duration, and then we literally, simply by adjusting zone sizes, we literally gained that much time right there. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Nobody's ever talked about that before. We've got to start doing this zone analysis before we do our pull plans from now on. And one thing I want to point out, I think we saved like 10 days because of how the trade zoned it. This was the original duration for the red trade. If you trace that red down, look, the red trade actually has more time in order to do their work. So while the duration is getting shorter through rezoning or through working with the trades to get the right zone size, we are actually gaining time, but also we are not shortening the trades time. And there are some, different variations to this, but we never take time from the trades. And that's all shown clearly in Kevin's calculator. So I wanted to make that point. Takt is amazing. So in the pull plan, before you do a pull plan, you look at your zoning and then you start doing your pull plan.
Me a day or two to lay it out.
Okay, just for the red zone, right?
Yeah.
And then shoot down track. Top, is that bottom track and top track?
Yes.
How many days?
Probably 2 days of shooting track and then 6 days of framing. So 10 days total.
All right, what happens after framing, team?
Sheathing.
How long for sheathing, my brother? And is there any overlap?
7 days for that area.
So once sheathing's done, eaves, is that? But I usually ask people, what do they notice? And so what I'm doing here is I'm going left to right, which our friends at the Lean Builder support as well. I'm creating a sequence, and the trades understand that. And the first thing that I do, and one of the reasons I like to have it on Miro, and other pull planning softwares don't have this, I immediately compare zone A to zone B. And I'm going to go ahead and play here just for a minute and let's see what you see. Is we were supposed to make sure that we have the right stagger from zone to zone to zone. So I'm going to do something that might look just a little bit haphazard, and I'm just going to start to look for patterns. So the sequence that we just created, I'm just going to bring out some data. When we do pull plans, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter how well we're flowing left to right, because that doesn't take care of trade partners. I care how are we flowing from area to area to area so that the trade partner has flow. So the layout and then shoot down track, that is on like a 4-day stagger, but it looks like the framing here is on a 6-day. So a 6-day.
Essentially, when I'm done with the first 4 days, I could move to the next area. I see where you're going.
Yes, let me show you what you could do. Like if you're the first one out of the gate, your layout and your track crew or... So here's the question. Most industry pull planning teachers, I'll say, teach pull planning as one horizontal sequence. If you do that, you're going to waste weeks and months. It's going to be a large batch system and you're going to waste time needlessly. What we have to do with pull plans is understand how many zones are through the area, get the right zone size or right batch size is what Toyota would say. And what we have to do is do the pull plan, but immediately compare that from zone to zone to zone, because it's more important how the trade flows than it is how it flows horizontally. I want you to watch what I'm doing here, please. And just imagine, what would you say if you were doing a reflection? Drop your scaffolding.
Well, we could move that right after fascia, because the drip edge, we could do it off of the roof.
Oh, okay. All right, perfect. So we'll do that. So drip edge, what 2 things do you need in order for you to install your drip edge?
We're just waiting on ourselves at that point for the drip edge. We're installing fascia.
So you need the fascia installed?
The EVIS needs to be done, right?
Oh, EVE's complete? Okay. If I put on here at need, and I've got stickies to the left that satisfy that need, I'm going to put a Y for yes. So let's look at this. So fascia installed, yep, we've got an activity for that. For the EVE's complete, we've got an activity for that. Fascia, what do you need for that to go well?
The EVIS, the color.
Is there any cleanup here that would prevent fascia from happening? Okay, so if I asked everybody what they're seeing, I'm now moving backwards to say, hey, you committed to something, but I'm not going to push you. What do you need to make that happen? And that's pull planning. It's collaborative. Not only does the project get their needs, but the trades get their needs met. It's a 2-directional trade partner, not subcontractor, trade partner relationship. So you can go backwards, you can go to the end to the front, you can go backwards, then forward, or you can go forward and backwards. I like going forward and backwards. But eventually, you work this backwards and you come up with needs and you'll find missing activities and you'll get the sequence correct. And then to finish this out, what we do at the end is we start making sure that there's a final double check for your diagonal flow. And then at the end, we simply check the overall sequence with the end milestone and see if we made it, and we're off to the races. And so your pull plans will happen whenever they need to happen. And those pull plans become your takt sequence. So that's very important for everybody to understand. The pull plan becomes your takt production plan. So now that you have your takt production plan in your trade partner weekly tactical, which the purpose of it is to completely plan out next week and to look ahead the next 6 weeks, we want you to have your look aheads, your weekly work plans, and your maps. And then this is the agenda. Any of these agendas are available for you anytime. Let's go over here to Minecraft. Let's say after your strategic planning and procurement meeting, you and the team are doing things, you're blah, 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 and then you're like, okay, it's Tuesday afternoon. Hey, trade partners, how's it going, everybody? Doing good? Doing good? Doing good? Hey, homies, do you guys want some snacks, anything to drink? I appreciate you being here. Now, you're over here to this board, and this is where it becomes very, very impactful. Instead of focusing mainly on the macro and the procurement plan, now we're into the production plan, and we're into the zone maps on your TV screens. It's all electronic. And these identify boards are the most important. When we start the Trade Partner Weekly Tactical, and everybody, all the foremen come in here and are like, hey, they should come up here to the board to the left, this board right here, and put their own magnets on for roadblocks, either in dry erase marker or a red sticker or a magnet. These boards are the single most important thing you can have in your conference room. It's not your pull plan. It's not a weekly work plan. I hate it when people put their weekly work plans on the wall. That only works for very, very small projects. Your weekly work plan should be digital. These are the boards that must be inside the last planner system on your wall. Don't be mad at me. I know everybody does it differently, but this is important. Why? Why? The most effective business system out there is EOS. And if you read the book Traction, they give you a pattern that if you want to run a solid business, you IDS, identify, discuss, solve. Flow and tax steering and control do not come from fancy things. They come from clearing the way of the train of trades and controlling the environment. And it comes by identifying, discussing, and solving roadblocks before they impact the train, before they impact the trades. And so this doesn't take too much time. When we get here, and we're not there yet in the US, but we will, the trade partners should already have the magnets on the wall before we start the meeting. And then what will happen is, now that you know the problems, you have most of your agenda figured out. And then you can turn your attention up here to the actual board, and we can go over here to InTakt. And you can say, all right, let's talk about this problem over here. All right, let's talk about this and solve this problem over here. Okay, let's go ahead and then look at these inside the zone maps. Like, let's actually go ahead and look at these inside the zone maps. Let's mark it. Let's make a plan. So you're mainly over here inside your production plan now in this meeting, in your trade partner weekly tactical, solving problems mainly. And what you'll do as a part of this meeting, and I'll make it very simple, is you will set a 2, 5, or 10-minute timer, and you will say, trades, this is the look ahead that we collaborated with in the last planner system from the pull plan. This is the next 6 weeks. I need everybody, please, to, whether they're printed or they're on the wall, to please look at your activities, and each one of you come up with a potential roadblock in addition to the ones that are on the wall. And then you identify, discuss, and solve them. When that part of the meeting is done, you're like, okay, we've removed roadblocks out ahead. That means it's now time for us to go ahead and look at the work plan. This is what's happening. Let's go through these. And instead of asking the trade to tell you what's happening, like, okay, show suites, I'm doing suites and I'm doing it on Thursday. We don't need him or her to repeat that. We need, everybody already knows where everybody's supposed to be. It's not a big deal. Everybody already knows where they're supposed to be. What we need that person to say is, oh, in all of my activities, I want to make sure that I'm really coordinating this handoff with sanitary rough-in. Or, hey, I need that bunk of plywood out of the way. Or, hey, instead of starting on Friday, could I start on Thursday because water risers are done? It's probably not a big deal. Is that okay, team? And then you go through this weekly work plan and coordinate handoffs and commitments. That is the purpose of this meeting. And you mainly used your visual boards, and you mainly used InTakt and your zone maps up on the wall. The afternoon Foreman huddle has to be the day before. It can be between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., but it has to be the day before. Otherwise, it's not a Foreman huddle. When people talk about morning Foreman huddles, that's not a Foreman huddle. That's a morning team, here's what I'm doing huddle. There's no decisions being made. There's no reroutes. There's no changes. There's no gathering of resources. If you're actually going to change the plan, adjust the plan the work, get resources, or do something dynamic, you have to know the day before. And I know there are some powerful general superintendents at Mortensen that disagree with me. There's people in the industry that disagree with me. Japan agrees with me. Liar, pants on fire, na, boo, boo, I'm right. So like that, this is just how it goes. The Foreman huddle has got to be the day before, and it's to completely plan the next day. And so after and if foremen are like, God, that's a lot of meetings. Hey, just so everybody knows, that's the foreman's job. In the United States, we've lost track of what we're supposed to be doing. And they're like, oh, no, I just want to be out here and doing stuff that we haven't planned for. No, it's our job to actually do the hard work of planning so that the workers have what they need. So every day in the afternoon before the next day, the foremen hop in here, same thing. They come over here to this board. If they have any new magnets, you got to put them up there before the meeting starts so you can discuss them. Okay. But what we're mainly doing is we're making the plan for the next day. And on lean built projects, we will have a model out in the middle in case trades want to look at it from a tactile standpoint. and you're looking up here at your screens. Now, what are you looking at in order to make this happen? You can create your plan here on your screens, but I do want to anchor us back to something, that what you're actually trying to map out is the information for your worker huddle. You can have your worker huddle board be right here on your screen, or you can just put it over here temporarily in your office. But what you're doing with the foreman, hey, shout outs. What shout outs do we have for the crews? Because we have to create connection. I'm going to go ahead and stop my share and have everybody see. Lean company is leadership with the field, non-lean company. Lean company, non-lean company. Lean company, non-lean company. If you don't have a connection, or the super doesn't have connection with the workers, they don't have anything. And we have to have this. So supers will be like, oh, Jason, I'm not going to gather all the workers in the morning for a morning worker. Okay, then you get to go out and fight with everybody and have chaos. Fine with me, but it's not going to help you or the trades. Afternoon foreman huddle, and we're planning the next day to communicate in the worker huddle. We go through and we say, here's how we're going to shout them out. The breath and life of your job site is the acknowledgement of your workers. Mr. Amazawa, like I said, former VP of Lexus, which you will all admit are amazing cars, and the former CEO of Georgetown, Toyota Georgetown, amazing human being, who worked with Taiichi Ono, said he would only fire people for 2 reasons. 1 is they lied. 2, they looked down on Gemba people. Gemba people are the people boots on the ground. They're the workers for us in construction. The most disgusting thing that can ever happen is when we're disconnected from or looked down on workers. When you have a morning worker huddle in the Takt production system, and it's a crucial component, that's where we go out and we say, hey, shout out. Hey, do you have any feedback for me? And yes, people are going to say stupid things for the first couple weeks. And you just answer the question they should have asked and keep going, and they'll come around. Then you talk about safety, permits, deliveries, weather, and then you go over a day plan and you do a bit of training. Every day. You have to train and connect with your social group every day. This can either be out on a QR code in Canva, or you can actually say, oh, this is just the board. Let me go ahead and haul it outside. And I'll actually, after the foreman huddle is done, okay, hey, we're good to go. We'll just grab that board outside and take it out here, and I'll just go ahead and put it up on the wall, ready for us for the next morning. Because this is what should happen the next morning. Once workers come in from the job site and park their car, they should be able to go through a guard station and a nice welcome, come through the gate, protected pathway wherever it's going to be on the project site. And before they go to work, and this is the most crucial component, and I already told you they do it in Toyota. The workers come in here for a stretch and flex, and yes, they're going to give you a hard time the first time. Yes, it's going to be a nightmare, but after a couple of weeks, everybody's going to start working together. They're going to see that the leader cares. He's only up on a platform so everybody can see him, not because he's more important. And this is going to become one social group. And so what happens is the next morning, you've already planned with the foreman the plan for the day, and you already have your agenda items. And so you're going to talk to the workers and be like, hey, good morning, everybody. Hey, shout out to crew such and such on level 3. Oh my gosh. Hey, crew such and such. You loaned out the forklift. You guys are freaking awesome. And I saw an idea, blah, blah, blah. You're going to beef them up. You're creating a social group. If you don't do this, you'll have disconnected gangs from East LA on your job site. This is the point. I'm going to get passionate about this. People think, oh, that's a trade partner. They don't work for me. Trade partner, they don't work for me. Oh, I can't control them. They won't do it. Yes, they do. If you do not gather them into one team, they will all fight you every step of the way of the job. But if you get them into a group and you connect with them and you praise them and you shake their hand and they know you care about them and you've got nice, and it's not just talk. It's not just, oh, I'm telling you I care. You've got a nice lunch area, okay? You've got nice bathrooms with freaking hand wash stations so they can actually use the restroom in dignity and wash their hands. Don't just tell them, show them you care. And when you show them and you do barbecues and you celebrate them and you shout them out, they are going to work as one unit. And now because you communicated that plan for the day and everybody can see it and it's out of the superintendent's head and you are ready to go. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how the Takt production system works. And then when everybody splits up, just like they said in that video in Japan, the superintendent with full PPE and everything will go out on the floors and be like, okay, we had a handoff over here on zone such and such. I'm going to go over here and talk to the foreman, and you do your walks and you use the weekly work plan to do it. This is tact steering and control. There's a movie. If you don't feel confident yet to go implement this system, watch this movie, put your shoulders back, and just go get it done. Patton is one of the greatest historical examples of any figure in history for good and bad. How to lead and how to not treat soldiers when he slaps soldiers. You can learn more from Patton than almost any other general. When it comes to the environment on the job site, it is Patton. When it comes to our rules for cleanliness, safety, and organization, we are Patton. When we are dealing with people in that beautiful, safe, clean environment, we are Simon Sinek, baby. We are Brene Brown. We are connected all the way. You can't love somebody if you don't give them a good environment. And it's going to take this kind of tenacity to give them a good environment.